Good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing today? Nice to have you all back. It's been a few days. We're a little bit early, but I just want to get the stream going and say my hellos. Welcome. Who's with me today? Say hello so I can see who's joined. Very curious to see who joins us. Tim, you there, buddy? There's Francesco. Jason, did you make it? My holiday, yeah, a couple of days off. Took the family down to Niagara Falls. It was quite nice. It was very quiet down there, not busy at all. But it was good. You know, there was a couple places open for ice creams and hot dogs, so that was pretty cool. We brought our own meals, brought our own picnic, brought some beers in a cooler. It was pretty cool. I never sat along the edge of the falls and drank a beer. You know, I wouldn't dare to have done that before, but it was quite nice. There was something special about that trip. It was surreal but nice. So it was good. Had some time off. Got a lot of sun. Some much needed family time. Yeah. Not too much, man. Just back in the saddle now, looking at the markets, trying to ascertain what is taking place. This nice pullback that we see on gold. This is something that we've been wanting to see for quite some time. We've been waiting for this one. This was an essential element to what we are expecting to see. So we got a really nice push up here on gold, and we knew that at some point it was going to turn down, and now it's contacted this area of supply that we had located. And now we're starting to see the weakness, which is great. This is beautiful. This is what we've been expecting. We've been expecting this for quite some time. So let's take a look at something here. I want to quickly drop this to a 1 hour, see if there was a trade up there. 1 hour chart. There is a day trade. Let's just draw on some stuff here. Yeah, like that. Don't see anything. Next thing will be this here. So it looks like it's underway. This is a big roadblock here that price will need to get through. And we're also sitting within a zone as well. So let's shoot it back up there. Yeah. So we're sitting inside we're just contacting a daily demand zone right now. I suspect that this area will break and we'll see a move lower. I suspect that. It's what we would expect if what we think is going to happen is going to happen. So let's take a look at something here. So we have an area here that we will be watching for. If this area gets taken out here, that could eventually lead to a bigger drop downwards. So we'll see. We might have something like this soon. Might. Might. It's too early to tell, but we might get something like that on the 1 hour chart. Alright. But so far things are looking pretty decent in terms of the drop that we've been expecting. Very, very good. Let's go full screen again. So we can see, we've talked about in the past, we've talked about the different time frames and looking for momentum and what time frames to be focusing our attention on, and how do we know what time frames are going to have momentum. So on this 4 hour chart right now, this 4 hour chart has broken the momentum to the upside, and now it's switching the momentum from upside to downside. So far on the daily chart, we had momentum to the upside, and now it's contacted some supply, institutional supply. And what I suspect will happen is we'll start seeing a move to the downside like this. Just basically because if we look at all the time frames, we have the suspicion that what the banks are going to do is they're going to create a very strong structure to the upside on the daily chart. That's what we suspect. There's also a very good chance, and we spoke about this with members, that price will come down here, sit here for a while, okay, in this area, accumulate long positions, and then shoot price up like this. That's a very good chance. Very good chance of that. All the evidence is suggesting that. And if that were to happen, let's see, that would be whereabouts down in here. So it would be somewhere down in this area. Let's do that again without. So somewhere down in this area is where we're looking for a potential reversal in oil. So move lower here, comes down and then shoots up. So on the 4 hour time frame, we very well might get some trading opportunities down here at these lows. Okay, so we'll be watching for chart signals down there to signal longs are good. But so far, you have to admit that what we've been watching for, what we've been waiting for, is playing out. We talked about this last week, that we want a move up, down, and then up like this. So that push to the downside is definitely in line with that. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. And then we have oil broke up to the upside, right? This is what we've been talking about. That push to the upside on oil. They took some profits on long positions, which caused the drop down, and that dropped down into institutional demand, and then they continued with pushing price up here, right here. Now the thing is that we are also contacting some major supply here on the monthly chart. So going long here would not be an ideal situation. Definitely not ideal, because we don't ever want to be going and opening up long positions in areas that the institutions have as supply. So this is not a pretty chart. If you were looking to trade oil, now is not the time to trade oil. Yes, we got that push to the upside, but it's straight into supply. Now we can start seeing some more profit taking on long positions and then a push to the downside. If that does not take place, then our focus would be definitely on this area of supply to see if it gets removed. If it gets removed, then we have clear skies up ahead, and we can expect price to head higher. Alright, so that's what I'm seeing with oil. If you guys want to hit the like button for me, I'd appreciate it. If you guys want to take a brief look at any markets, let me know which ones you want to look at, and we can do that. Okay. Okay, let's see what else we got here. So that's gold, that's oil. Gold is looking nice. It's looking like it's setting up. So we're enjoying that. The pullbacks we were looking at on the charts, they seem to be in play right now. Look at that. Nice push to the upside there. Price came down to institutional demand, and now look at that, rallying up. 4 hour. Let's take a look if there was a momentum shift on that one. Okay, there's the test. Let's see here. So we got something like this. We got something like, so that came short of hitting that one, and then we got, yeah, I don't see a good entry. So there was no signal there to go long. No signal. But the pullback is definitely in play now. We got the initial move up, and now it's come back down to demand, and now pushing up. Let's fix these candles again. Those darn candles. There, that's better. So that's looking pretty good. Push upwards. How long is it going to last? Very difficult to tell. Again, when we look at the charts to determine what trends are in play and so forth, we don't have a trend on this chart on the monthly. We don't have a trend on this chart. We did have a trend on the daily chart, but that is under attack right now. And if that breaks through, which it looks like it will, there's nothing to stop price from rallying up here. Okay? But just like how we are expecting gold to drop and then stop and then rally, we can very much likely get something like this on the dollar chart. Very likely to get something like that. Alright. So I'll be on watch for that. Aussie dropping. Nice. Looking good. Looking good for the drop. Suspecting that, right? Aussie CAD moved lower. Beautiful. We were suspecting that might take place. And let's take a look. Let's go through the other pairs here. CAD Japanese yen. So yeah, our weekly trend target number 2 got contacted. Nice move higher. And so we should take a look at the US CAD to determine what's likely going to take place afterwards with this one. Okay, so the euro. Alright. So we're seeing that slight pullback now. Okay? Same idea. Same idea, just like with the dollar. Very likely we get a drop and then a rally like that. Very likely. If this area breaks through here, then we can see a price drop down to this area before turning up. So there's a couple options of what could be in play. But they seem to be in line with each other. What we expect and like right now, what we expect in the short term. Short term meaning multiple hours, multiple days. Short term drop is what we expect. And here's the 4 hour chart, right? So let's shift this down to the 1 hour chart and see what that looks like. Okay, so it looks to be breaking out of this range here. You could see we had price in a range here, right? So if this goes further down, it creates areas of supply. Very likely those areas of supply will be used to drop price lower. So should keep that on watch. But definitely we're forecasting short-term moves to the downside. And again, short-term could be multiple hours, multiple days. Short-term move lower, and once price makes its move and it starts to create a foundation, then we would be looking at a midterm move to the upside. Midterm being multiple days slash multiple weeks. So move lower, pause, and then some kind of a move like that is what we are expecting. So that's looking good. Let's take a look at the pound. Is the pound following suit? It's holding up there. Quite nice. Pound is holding up there quite nice. See, that leads me to suspect that if in the next following days we don't see a drop in price on the pound, when the euro creates a foundation, when gold creates a foundation and starts to reverse back to the upside, this sucker can really rally. That's what I'd be expecting. We could see a very strong rally on the pound. And that will work very well with pound yen, because we have suspicions that we're going to see this one rally quite strong. It's already rallied very strong from the lows. Down here we were forecasting a big move to the upside, so it's already done that. But I suspect we're going to see more of that very soon. Okay, it could be on pause for a while because of the retracements that we're seeing in the market. But longer term, yeah, I don't see a reason why this wouldn't head higher. Let's take a quick look at the Japanese yen. What's going on? So US dollar Japanese yen with some strength here, right? Because we've got the dollar rallying up, and it's rallying up into an area of supply up there. So remember what we were looking at with the dollar: a rally up until it pauses and then shifts momentum to the downside, right? So we have an area of supply here on the chart. It could pause and drop. So what I would be watching for is I'd be looking at the dollar chart, or hourly chart I should say, and there's that supply area. Here's the supply. So I'd be looking for some kind of a momentum shift to the downside from this area. That's what I'd be looking for, because it'll likely happen from this area. If the momentum doesn't shift from this area, then that means it's not meant to shift down. But that's what I'd be looking for. For shorter term trades, very likely that we can get that. And it's in line with what we're seeing with the other markets. That's why I would be looking for that. So very possible. Let's take a quick look at the US CAD. Yeah, so it's slightly pulling up now, which is to be expected with the dollar. So again, in line with what we're seeing in the markets. A slight push up. Yep, so that's good. Very good. So we'll be we're watching for chart signals on this one to get in short, but at higher up. Once it gets higher up, then we'll be looking for entry into this one short again. But for now, we just wait. Very likely going to rally. You see what's happening with the dollar. In fact, if you look at the dollar, just look at the daily chart of the dollar and look at the strength and look at the 4-hour chart of the dollar and look at that strength. Okay, now when I switch over to the US CAD, you can see that it's somewhat lagging slightly. Okay, it's not quite as strong as the dollar, so this can really pick up. We have some areas of supply. Once these start getting taken out, it'll shoot up quite quickly in this area. But those areas need to be taken out first. They're like roadblocks. Once those roadblocks are taken out, then there's no stopping price from rallying. Okay, let's take a look at Bitcoin. What's Bitcoin up to? So Bitcoin responded to the 33,000 area of demand. It's where the banks were holding area demand here, long positions, right? We mentioned this when price was up here at the highs. We mentioned that price, if it dropped, a good area to buy if you wanted to buy Bitcoin was 33,000, and it's already rallied up to 40,000 from 33. Easy investment there. Easy. Get in at demand where the banks are buying and exit after momentum shifts back to the downside. So that was a good quick scalp there, 33 to 40,000. And now we see momentum is building on the 4-hour slowly. So this can continue potentially even higher if this area gets taken out, potentially even higher, right? Targets at 52 area, and then I'd start getting concerned. Why would I get concerned? Because of this here. That's a major bearish engulf on the chart. That's a major area of selling. And I would not want to be holding a long position as price rallies up into a major area of selling. I would not want to do that. So if I was holding longer positions from down below, targets would have to be there, and I'd be slowly closing off positions as price gets up there. This area gets taken out, like I was mentioning on the daily chart. This area gets taken out, and then it opens up the floodgates for a push higher. So you could add to long positions and then exit a little bit higher before that bearish engulf comes into play. That's how I would do things. I'm not making any recommendations for you to do anything, just showing you based on the system that we use, this is how we would spot trading opportunities, and this is how we would trade them if we were going to trade them. Alright, so what's up, people? Hit the like button for me. That would be much appreciated. Did you guys mention any pairs for me to take a look at? Let's see. Euro, yeah, we took a look. We took a look at the euro already. Euro US dollar. We had a good look at that. Silver, a lot of people talking about silver. About potential short squeeze. Major supply still holding. Not much here. See, it's not a decent chart. I don't like these type of charts where you have a lot of sideways action like this. There's no upward structures. So what do you take a trade off of? It's very difficult to take a trade off of something. So it's not ideal. It's not the type of chart I like to trade personally. How's that GameStop doing? Anybody get involved in that one? I'm curious. That was a big play. Oh, they pushed price back up, didn't they? Of course. They had to. Big investors had money in that. They didn't want to take a loss. They didn't want to take a loss. Take a look here. Interesting. We had that very strong push to the upside. Brought back down. And then we had demand here. Price comes back to demand, shifts momentum, and then away she goes. And demand was at 135. It's at 282 now. That's a pretty strong move, wouldn't you say? That's a pretty strong move. And that was on the daily chart. Let's see. Daily here. Yep. Yep. And we had a momentum shift here on the 4 hour as well. Right down here. That was your entry here. If you were paying attention and trading this one, that was your entry there, 140. It never went below that demand area. That was your entry, never went below, and now it's at 282. Nice. Nice, getting it back up there. Yeah, so GameStop, a lot of people bought, forced it up, forced big players that were short, but they got it back up there. Wow, that's massive. Let's see, pound yen. Yeah, we looked at pound yen. Long term, pound yen long term, we're seeing more upside. That's for sure. For sure. Let's take a look at the, yeah. So long term would be multiple weeks, multiple months. This is a daily chart. You know, this is a couple weeks here. Okay. We suspect that it'll probably get up to the 165s, but this is very long term because we could have a drop and then it sits there. Very long term would be multiple months, potentially a year. So multiple months, potentially a year, but we suspect price will get up there. I don't see any reasons why it wouldn't. There's nothing on the charts to point that this is not going to happen. Everything we're seeing on the charts is pointing in the direction that the banks are interested in buying, and they will push price up higher over the very long term. All right, let's see euro one more time. Yeah, so that slight drop that we're seeing on the chart, it's pretty much what we were expecting. We wrote about it in the Aruja report. Pullbacks were expected. And like I said, it's in line with gold and what gold is doing right now. Very in line with it. So we just gotta wait. It's a waiting game. Because those who are, anxious to get in long, you know, if you were able to get in long here near those highs, once you start seeing this type of a move, to hold through that is, very difficult for most people to do, to hold through a drop like that. So I would much rather wait for it to set up. Once it's set up and it's ready to shoot to the moon, then I'd like to be in positions, because then I know all of the major drops that were expected to take place, they've already played out. So I don't need to get into long positions and have to endure big drops. That's why I like to just wait until it's the proper setup is there. AMC is at the theaters. AMC, AMC Entertainment. What's happening with them? Big rallies? Oh yeah. Why does everybody always want to trade things that have strong rallies? Yeah, I mean it's nice that it's at 72, but what do you want to do? You want to buy it now? I mean, it could go higher, but darn, I wouldn't want to touch this sucker. Not after this rally. Nope, no siree. What's causing it to go up anyways? What's the news on that one? What just came out? I'm just gonna grab myself some tea here. Yeah, after big rallies like that, especially when it's in all-time high scenarios, that's extremely dangerous. I know a lot of traders love that. A lot of traders love that. They want to buy when things are going to the moon. But I'm telling you, those are the most dangerous times to be trading. Enters into equity distribution agreement to sell up to 11.6 million shares. Oh yeah, I was reading an article about that. To sell 11.6 million shares. New share sale warns you might lose your money. They even warn you might lose your money. Well, they've been hurt over the last year or so. Nobody's going to theaters. They're losing, so they got to do something to stay afloat. So I think that this is the initial excitement, but eventually this will settle down, and then it won't look so good. So if you wanted to short it, I mean, how do you know it doesn't go higher, right? So I wouldn't touch it personally. This is not the type of stuff I like to touch. It could go higher, it could drop. You don't know. It's a casino. So I could tell you one thing though, that the big buying took place here, you know. So if you're interested in entering into a position, if price ever came down to 12 bucks, then that'd be a decent place to start accumulating along. That's what I will say. And it's just like what my buddy was saying about Bitcoin. It's never going to get to 33,000 when it was at 56 or 60,000. It's not going to get there. Well, yeah, it got there. So don't ever think, oh, it's not going to get there, because when you think that way, that's what ends up happening. It may look like it won't, but it usually ends up dropping. After big rallies, things drop. I mean, that's just how it is. What do we got with the SPY? Did it remove that supply? No. So remember that supply we had dropped? Are you surprised that price dropped from it? No. This is institutional supply. Of course it dropped from it. Price rallied up into the area. This is institutional supply up here. Price rallied into institutional supply, dropped, closed, and then now we got the market showing that supply coming into play. What else we got? Dow Jones probably doing something similar. Again, contacted institutional supply, and now we're seeing the supply coming into the market. Same thing. Let's see. Are you buying some XRP? No, not doing that. Look at that pressure coming in. So you see what I was saying about what we expect. So you see it now playing out. You see that pressure building. Very strong inside this area of demand. It'll likely continue down to here. Okay? So keep an eye on that. I think that's what's going to take place. And it might just close inside here. That's a possibility. And then maybe tomorrow drop. But likely this week this zone will be taken out, and then we'll get a bigger retracement. Let's see how much the euro is responding to this. Yeah, it's pretty aggressive, pretty strong. Same thing as gold. Yeah, so that push lower looks good. That push lower looks good. AMC volume at price is around 12 bucks. That's where big money bought for sure. Yeah, that down area. Yeah, for sure. And probably that was the buying before the news even came out about any type of Yeah, see, let's see here, 12, and then there's also around the $30 area, big buying from the banks there, $30 area. So there's two areas around the 10 and $30 area. Everything above that is suicide if you get involved. That's it. So you want to trade charts like this? Very simple. You spot the major areas of institutional buying and you wait for price to get down there. If it doesn't get down there, oh well, move on to another one. Okay? But your odds to make money when things trade like this is to wait until areas of institutional demand come into play, and that's where you buy. Institutional demand, and that's where you buy. Not after the move has taken place. Because you need to let them show you, right? They're creating the map. It's like what we always say at the school. The banks create the map. As they're in the process of creating the map, just sit back and let them do it. All right? You wouldn't want to go on a big road trip without having any type of directions or a map, right? You wouldn't just jump in and say, let's just go, you know? I want to head somewhere very specific, but I have no map to get me there, but I'm going to do it anyways. That's just a disaster. Could you end up getting to your destination? Yes, probably. Could you end up being in the wrong neighborhood and get your car stolen? Probably, you know. So I like to let them just build a map, create the map, show me what you're up to, show me what you're doing, and then once you've created the map and price starts settling down, then I know where I should get involved because then I know where the banks are getting involved. I only want to get involved when the banks are getting involved. And I only want to get involved after the banks show me where they have been getting involved. Because what will likely happen is when those areas come into contact again, they will get involved again. All right, Bitcoin was a perfect example of this. Bitcoin was a perfect example where I said I'd want to get involved only in the $33,000 area. That's it, not at the 60,000 because they were creating the map. Was price going to continue higher? It could have, you know? So let me break it down to you. This is what I was trying to explain to my friend who was crypto crazy. Um, let's get back to where price was. Okay? So this is where price was. Right here. And he wanted to get involved in this market. And I said, look, okay, right now they are creating the map for Bitcoin. They're creating it. So we don't know if they're going to take price higher or if they're going to drop price. We don't know. When price is up here and it's ranging like this, there's a probably 40% chance price goes higher, 60% chance price goes lower. Okay? And the reason why there's a 40% chance it goes higher and 60% chance that it drops is because it already made such a massive move, right? Just like when price was in this area here, it would be something similar. It would probably be, 45% chance price rallies and 55% chance it drops. Okay? There would have been slightly a bigger chance of it rallying up. Okay, so the reason I would say that is because it wasn't as overextended as it was after this move. So the more overextended, the more likely you're going to get a drop. So because we had a chance of it dropping, a very good chance of it dropping, I wouldn't want to get involved at those highs. What I would need to see for me to get involved is I would need to see new structures being created to the upside. New strong foundations, right? If there isn't a strong foundation being built, the only reason why a foundation would be built on the chart is if price was going to continue going higher in the future. That's the only reason why they'd build a strong foundation. If they're not building a strong foundation, what do you think is going to happen to that floor that we have here? Right? If there's no strong foundation, the floor will crack, price goes down. And that's what took place. There was no strong foundation, so price was likely going to head down. And we were looking at the daily chart for signs of this foundation to be built. And there wasn't those signs. The foundation was not being built. So, the logical conclusion was that price was going to drop. So a lot of investors got involved in this market at 56 and 60, around there. Only because they're not looking for foundations, they don't understand the concepts, they don't understand, what makes a good investment, why you wouldn't want to buy after a move like this. But based on what the map was, hey, this is price. We have institutional buying here, and we have institutional buying here. Between here and there, there's nothing. So my only places for buying is here and here. That's it. If I want to buy, it has to be in those two areas, because that's the map that they created for me. So wait until it drops down, and then when it gets there, that's where you buy. So you have to get rid of that whole idea of, oh, I'm late to the game. No, you're not late to the game. Not if you know what to wait for. It's just a waiting game. Once they create the map, then you just wait for them to bring price into those areas. If you're only looking at Bitcoin and only want to trade Bitcoin, then yeah, you can lose your patience and be like, well, I don't want to miss out. But there's so many different charts to trade. So many. You just do the same thing. You locate the areas of buying, you set your alerts, and you continue on with your life. When your alerts go off and those areas come into contact, that's when you get involved. So that is what was forecasted. And then we have price looking like that, and then boom. Okay? And then dropping. So what looked very impossible at one point becomes very possible. And it was possible. Like I said, the daily chart was screaming that there was no foundation here. So let's take a look. And just like that, Aussie US dollar broke through daily demand zone. Let's take a look. There you go. There you go. See? Okay? There you go. Out. Traded through. Now it opens up the doorway for a move down here. Price is at 1869. Expected move down to the 1830s. There you go. Okay? You see how predictable the market can be once you understand how this game is being played. When you understand that the banks control price, when you understand how they accumulate positions, when you understand how they lure people into taking the opposite trade, when you understand those things, you can see the big picture. It becomes very clear what they're doing. And then it's just a matter of sitting back and watching them build those foundations. What's retail traders doing with gold right now? Mostly long? Yeah, they got in long too late. I mean, is this not the same thing over and over and over again? I mean, boy, oh boy, right? Where do they start getting in long? At the highs. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to think that it's going to continue going up after it's made such a dramatic move to the upside, right? Don't you think they use that against everybody? Of course they do. Of course, They wait. Retail traders wait until it's like, all right, it's like taking off. They're looking at charts like this. This is what they're looking at. Oh, it used to be down here. And now look where it's gone. So I guess this is going to start going higher. So I should probably start opening up long positions. There's no clue about what the banks are doing. No clue about where the institutional supply zones are. No idea. All they see is indicators, probably some nice moving averages, right? That are supporting price, right? Maybe some nice moving averages there. Who knows? I don't even know what they're looking at. I mean, I look at some charts and they're so filled with so many different indicators that I don't even realize, I can't recognize any of them and what they're looking at. Like, what is it that they're looking at that gives them the signal to buy? So that's what will happen. And then this is buy the dip, right? Same thing. Price drops. Okay, now it's time to buy the dip. So buy the dip, and then it goes lower. Buy the dip, and then it goes lower. Buy the dip. And then here they're going to say, okay, I guess this buying the dip thing is not working. So maybe we should get out. That's what's going to happen. Price is going to come all the way down here. And then when it's down here inside institutional demand, guess what? Then you're going to start to see this thing like this. Why? Because they're going to be like, oh, I guess I got it wrong. I was too late. I bought too late. But now this is definitely going to drop because it's like made such a big move to the upside. It's got to make such a big move to the downside now. So then they're going to start getting in short. And then guess who's going to be buying? All those long contracts that they're getting rid of down here. That's right, banks. And then they'll shoot price up. Likely. Okay? This is just me forecasting based on all the evidence I'm collecting, what I know to be true about the markets from my own studying of the markets, what I see taking place, what I'm correlating with the other markets. I'm looking at all the other markets, I'm correlating what I'm seeing with the evidence, and that's what I'm seeing is that. That's how I was able to forecast that there was going to be some drop. That's why I was able to forecast that this area will be taken out. My forecast says it'll come down here, it'll pause here, and then it'll start heading higher. Okay? So we'll see. It's Thursday. We don't know. We'll check back in tomorrow, and then next week we'll continue to monitor, and we'll look at the data that comes out tomorrow, which would probably start, we'll continue showing buying, maybe adding a little bit of selling in preparation for this. And then the next report, or maybe the one after, we'll start to see them reaccumulating long positions from down here. All right. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it, guys, in terms of that. All right, so if you want to hit the like button one more time for me, I'd greatly appreciate it. And we'll leave it at that. We'll continue to monitor. We got some great chart signals that we're going to be watching for. We've already got some that are in play. So looking good. We did very well last week with our trades. The portfolio is on fire. Lots of winners in the portfolio. And we had that Euro Japanese yen long trade that we gave out early last week, and then it played out to perfection 2 days later. So a lot more coming our way. Okay, so that's it. Enjoy your rest of the rest of your day, and we will see you tomorrow. Enjoy. Have a good one, guys.